Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Scaling Brokerage Podcast. Today, Jesse's been kind enough to bless us with some of his time, share his experiences in real estate and how he's evolved, through the years. So I'll kick it right off to you, Jesse. I'll let you kind of tell the people a little bit about yourself and your business.
Okay, cool. So first and foremost, thank you for inviting me. I don't feel like I have a story to tell, but who knows? We'll see, right? So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. So I'm in San Antonio, Texas, born and raised here. I actually come from a family of contractors, and the goal was to become a home builder myself, right? Well, I got my high school sweetheart pregnant, and my life took a big turn, right? Joined the military, served 23 years in the United States Air Force.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your support. Did combat tours in Iraq, combat tours in Afghanistan, had a really high ops tempo kind of job. But of course, it's a young man's game. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do now that I'm retiring? And I really didn't want to work. And I definitely did not want to go work for someone. Right.
Gotcha. Did you do the 9 to 5? I understand.
Yeah, I did not want to do that. I mean, I had already served 23 years, and I was like, I want to be my own boss, right? So, understanding that you have to put in your time in the trenches in real estate, before that, I actually was like, okay, what am I going to do? I started up a commercial cleaning business. I did that for about a year and a half. It was not for me. I was like, okay, we're not doing that. So I sold that business. And then I kind of just took a step back and say, you know what skill sets do I have that I can use, to help other people and to make a living out of it. And, I went back to my roots. I know how homes are built. I mean, I've seen them built from the foundation all the way to the roof. My dad was a mason. He was also a roofer. Uncles were, framers, the whole thing, right? Plumbers, electricians, like the whole deal. Gotcha. So I had a really solid understanding of what it took to build a home. So I was like, you know what? And I know how to talk to people. Growing up in the military, you start off as a young, airman in my case, in the Air Force. And then I go up to the ranks, and now I'm talking to high level generals and colonels and stuff. So you kind of know how to speak to people at a lower level and at a higher level, right? Obviously, coming in, I was just brand new, so I didn't have very much experience. But at the end of my 23 years, I was briefing, just things, right, like intelligence, and I really broke it down. I'll tell you a little bit what I used to do in a minute, but so basically, I knew how to speak to people, right? And most importantly, I knew how to listen. Yeah. So when you learn how to listen, the world just opens up on you. And so anyway, did my time in real estate. Texas requires you to be an agent for 4 years. I kind of was a little bit slower. I took 5 years before I actually took my courses and took my broker test to become a broker. The end goal was always to be a broker. In the meantime, in those 4.5 years, I bounced around from brokerage to brokerage, which my wife was irritated. She's like, why are you moving again? I was like, because I just, there was always something that I did not like or did not sit well with me. So yeah. I just had to buy my time. I had to do the 4 years. But I knew that if I didn't like a place, then I just was going to move on. Now, unlike a lot of agents today, they want, which is funny. I love this. They're like, I want the best splits, the least amount of fees, the most training. And I think to myself, so you want to be a broker, right? Yeah. Get it? Like, you got to put your time in. If you don't know something, you got to learn it from somebody else, and all that takes time. So I don't know how some of these brokerages survive on a transaction fee of $300. Like, I don't understand. So anyway, every time I moved from brokerage to brokerage, it was never because of production. I've always produced. I always know how to speak to people and how to sell. And I use the word sell loosely because I don't think I'm a salesperson. I'm more of an advisor. I give you the information, you make the decisions, right?
Yeah.
Whether you tell me you want to buy this home or not, I really don't care. If it's not for you, then let's move on to the next one, right? So we'll find you what you're comfortable with. So became a broker, and been doing it for about 3 years now. Oh, and nice. I feel like I'm successful because, again, I'm the captain of my own ship. I call the shots. I've had agents come and go, and my goal was never to become Keller Williams or Coldwell Banker or EXP or any of those brokerages. Like, I think, and maybe for them that's the business model. I don't know. For me, it's not. To me, that's more ego. Like I want to help people that want to help themselves, and if you don't want to help yourself, then you'll find yourself not in my brokerage. So
Yeah.
I say that, like, okay, like I'll invest. I mean, come on, let's be honest, right? Let's be frank. I would give my life for somebody next to me that's doing the same job. Why would I not give into you as an agent if you're willing to do the work?
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
so a lot of so yeah, I don't want to spill too much into that, but
Yeah.
yeah, I so that I became a broker. Uh, it's good, and I mean it's all good actually. I love it, but there are some things that you obviously don't think about until you become a broker. You know, overhead. You know, time. Like now I'm still producing broker because this is my business.
Yeah.
I have four other agents with me, and they understand how I operate. They understand the expectations, and they're good with it. So I'm like, okay, you want to stick around? That's great. But if they were to pack up and leave, I would still be okay being, you know, a little boutique brokerage and doing what I do. So I really enjoy it. It's fun.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, I love that. Love that. And then that's awesome that it's not not a lot of our members get to hear the experience of, kind of getting started and get our feet set in on the market. And I imagine, right, kind of during the time of COVID and everything there.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit, what was that like, kind of getting, taking that first initial step from being on the real estate agent side to the broker side?
Yeah. To me, it was seamless because I already had the vision. I already knew that's what the end goal was. Um, I guess it was a learning curve, but I was fortunate enough that the brokerage I was at before I got my broker license, the broker was just top notch. Like I
Right.
can't say enough about it. His name's Chiaki Brown, Vortex Realty. Like I always tell people, go there. Don't come here. I don't want you to come here. I want you to go there because he's badass. Okay,
That's awesome.
he's very helpful. He's like, hey Jesse, he always spoke to me with the utmost respect and like a peer, and it was never like speaking down to me. And when I told him, I was like, hey, I'm getting my broker license. He's like, okay, so what do you plan to do with that? And I said, open my own brokerage. He's like, I'm here for you. You ever need anything?
Awesome.
And those are the kind of people that I wanted to surround myself with, right? So it really was seamless. And unfortunately, when you become a broker, there's no playbook that says, hey, here you go, here you're a broker, do XYZ. You kind of learn it on the fly, right?
Absolutely.
But I was good with that. Like that was like kind of like my career in the Air Force. I learned things on the fly, and these were things that could get me killed. So I had to like really ramp it up, right? So in real estate, there's things that could kill my business that I had to learn real quick. But I always had somebody to lean on, which is super important. And then it's just a peer, just to vent and be like, hey, I'm going through this or I'm going through that. Like, but so for me, I think because of my background, my life experience, it was easy peasy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it was easy, but it was still there's some difficult times. But yeah, it was a great transition. The one thing, and I do have one thing that I would say that I would probably tell somebody aspiring to be a broker to really think about, and that's commitment, right? And I'm not talking about commitment to the job because I'm committed 100% for my clients. Like if they need anything, I was installing a doggy door the other day. I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
As we get into how I run my operation, it'll make sense as to why I do what I do, right? So the one thing, if it's okay to tell you now, the one thing that I really, I guess, really made a mistake on, and I don't look at it as a mistake as much as a lesson, right? I learned a real big lesson
Yeah.
was I got my broker license and people are like, oh, congratulations, you're starting your own brokerage. And I bit off more than I thought I could chew. And the way I did that was I got a commercial space and I pay $3,700 a month in rent, right? And that may not sound like a lot. It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like I always tell my agents, I could be living in $1 million house. Instead, we're working out of here. So
Yeah.
use this space like it's yours. And initially, I would let a lot of people come here do training and like bring agents in. But I think some of the people that I was surrounded by wanted something for me that I didn't want. They wanted me to recruit. They wanted me to grow, and I was like, that's not me. That's not what I want. So anyway, going back to the lesson was and I'm a numbers guy, right? So in the last 3 years, which is a 3-year commitment, I'm a man of my word, so I'm going to keep it, right? 3-year lease at $3,700 a month is just shy of $150,000, right? Hindsight, I could have built a building for about that much on my own property, ran my operation from home, owned the building, depreciated it, and got all the benefits. Instead, I just 150K vanished, right? Gone
Yeah.
ever. So I don't regret it. I try not to regret things in life because it shapes who I am, but it's definitely a learning. It's a learning
Yeah.
piece, right?
Understand.
Uh,
Understand.
so, and maybe one day I will. My lease ends at the end of June here, and this I'm in the office now, but I'm not going to renew it. So what I did is I shifted and I said, okay, I'm going to build a 3-car garage in my home with an upstairs, 2 apartments, and then 1 apartment downstairs, 1 apartment upstairs, and then the rest of the upstairs is going to be my operation. That's what I'm going to operate out of.
Oh, nice.
So I get to keep the building. It's going to cost me about what I paid these last 3 years.
Yeah.
It's going to be mine, and it's going to add value to my home.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I always think about, well, now I think about like, okay, how's that going to affect me long term, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's something that not we don't dive into a lot on the podcast. I appreciate you sharing that. But no, that I mean, and I've definitely heard it from brokers before, kind of being real gung ho at the beginning, getting us into an office space before we really have anything else. Sometimes even like back end operations or anyone even really help us out.
Yeah.
So no, that's huge. Definitely making sure we're kind of checking off the boxes at the right time and place. Most definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Well,
You said it better and a lot shorter than I did.
What's that?
I say you said it better and a lot shorter.
I know. No, I like your explanation more. Yours is much better.
Yeah.
Well, to dive into the marketing lead gen side of it, do you do anything to market the brokerage? Do you do anything to get the word out there to like other agents in the area? Anything like that?
Not agents. Again, I really don't care to grow. I'm very selective. I've had up to like 15 agents, and then to me it was just more of a like I don't understand how some people get into the business and they think that deals are going to fall from the sky, which they did during COVID, right? I got to give them that. But you got to work. Like you got to have conversations. You got to talk to people. You need to know what you're doing. You need to, and one of the things that I'm a big proponent of is video. But before I started doing videos, I just knew my stuff. Like I knew how to do a transaction. I knew how financing works. I get my lender partners, they hate me because I scrutinize them. I'm like, okay, and I'll tell you why. So my niche, being military, being retired, is veterans. Like 95% of my business is veterans, right? So when people make comments in San Antonio, especially, oh, I love veterans, I'm skeptical. I'm like, how much do you love veterans? Like, how do you love veterans, right? So when I'm talking to a lender or I'm referring a lender, I'm like, okay, so what do you charge? Like, what are your charges? What's your communication like? Like, I really scrutinize them, and if they don't cut it, then maybe we'll do a deal. Maybe you too, but if it's not conducive to the way I run my business, then we're probably not going to do business.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have lender friends that are like, they already understand, like, okay, I know who you are, I know how you operate, I still want to be your friend. I'm like, cool, let's be friends, right? But you're probably not going to get my business. So I forgot what the question was.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. You were just kind of diving into marketing.
Okay, so lead generation, right? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So to promote the business, I don't promote it really to agents. I'm just now starting to go like to mixers and meet other brokers and meet other agents. And it's just the reason I'm doing it is I'm actually the president to a nonprofit organization called the Veterans Association of Real Estate Professionals. It's a national outfit, right? It's a nonprofit. What we do is we advocate for veterans and the VA home loan. So we actually have like bills in Congress, like we help veterans that are struggling, maybe financial literacy, like a whole bunch of stuff, right? So for that reason, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go step out so I can get to meet other agents. So maybe I could bring them and they can show me how they love veterans, right?
Yeah.
But I don't really advertise like hey, come to my brokerage. Now, where I do advertise and where I do put myself out is where the consumer's at, right? So I have a YouTube channel that is about relocating to San Antonio, and
Oh,
I don't talk about selling a home. Like I talk about, well, I started to showcase homes now, right? But initially, I'm talking about the area because people always tell you the same thing. Hey, I want to live in a great neighborhood with great schools, low crime, and amenities around there. Okay, cool. So if you've never lived in San Antonio, and we got a lot of people moving here from like California,
yeah.
I'm going to show you what San Antonio's like. I'm going to show you the streets. I'm going to show you the places I like to go to, and so it's a long form video, and I get to just talk, right? And I tell you about me, about my experiences, about what I think, and that's the number one lead generation I've ever done. I've
Nice.
called expireds. I've done open houses, which I started off in open houses and I did phenomenal. My first month in business, I had 4 deals. So
Oh,
it worked, right? You
yeah.
gotta know how to work them, right? You got to know how to talk to people. You got to know what you're going to talk about. So all of that's there. But so this past year, I think all of my deals except 2 or 3 in 2024 were from YouTube. And there's no better way to get a client than them calling you and going, "Hey, Jesse, I've been watching your videos for 6 months. I'm moving to San Antonio. Can you help me?" And I'm like, I think I can
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
do it, right?
That's awesome.
I get clients from Hawaii, from Japan, from Germany, from all over the United States, mainly California. So I do. I just put myself out there and I don't really make calls. I used to call because I used to do a lot of listings. I used to call a lot of expireds, which if you're not, I figured if I do expireds and I can handle those, I can handle any conversation. And I,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
because they're upset and they should be upset because they hired somebody and they didn't do their job. So,
Yeah.
like, okay, let's go for it. Like I'm not afraid of conflict. Like
Yeah.
let's do it, right? But in the end, when you listen, like I said when I first started, right, the podcast, when you listen, truly listen, people will open up and then they'll tell you, right? And you just got to shut up. I tell my agents, like, ask a question and shut up.
And wait. I like that.
Wait and
Uh,
listen, right? So if anybody's watching the podcast and they want to know how to interact with a client, that's the best way.
yeah.
Shut up. Nobody cares that you sold 10 million. Nobody cares that you're an award winner of this. Nobody cares. They care about themselves. Listen to what they're saying, find out where the pain points are, and provide a solution. That's it.
Absolutely. And especially, a home purchase being, one of the biggest purchases that most people make in their entire lives.
Yeah.
So you're having that feeling like, our agent's really there for us and not just to, add another notch to the leaderboards. That definitely goes a long way with the prospective
Yeah.
client and everyone there.
So I
And
have
it goes a long way keeping the bridge up too, right? For them having friends, family, everyone kind of coming over and
1,000%. Yes. So I'll tell you a story real quick. Had a client who was moving here from California. We went and we looked at these homes, right? This neighborhood. We ended up looking at 3 builders in this neighborhood, and one of the 3 sales associates was desperate. Like you could hear it. Like we will do anything you want, right? I turned off my client. My client was like, "No, I don't. I want what I want."
yeah, why do you want to get rid of it so bad?
Yeah, yeah. They're like, why are you pushing so hard? Like, well, initially she came off as no, like no, we don't do that. No, we. And then toward the end of the visit, it was like desperation mode. Like I got to have a closing, and I was like, wow. And my client was like, that's horrible. I was like, well, I mean, I'm glad you're not working with her, right? So, but yeah, it just I never. I think and I listen to a lot of people. I used to be a Tom Ferry client, so I did coaching with Tom Ferry, Mike Ferry, like all these really wise people.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is just that is listen, like talk to people, have conversations, listen, and this is probably the most important part: have zero expectations, zero. When you have zero expectations, you really open up to help people, and people really can see that, like they can hear it, right?
Yeah.
They can see it in your body language. They can see it, in your totality, and they'll really. Most of my client, well, not most, I think all of them. If you talk to them, they would say like, yeah, like he listened, I trusted him, and he just guided me. I tell him I make zero decisions here. I give you the information, you make the decisions. You ask me for my opinion, and I will give it to you. Like this client this weekend was like, "Hey, I don't want to tell you the whole story, like what we're talking about," but he's like, "What do you think?" And I told him exactly what I thought. He's like, "I'm glad you said that." I was like, "That's what I'm here for." Like,
yeah. Honesty is one of the best qualities we can have, especially
yeah,
in real estate. You know, it can not always be the most transparent for others. So
yeah,
being that, being that fit where, most people have bought other homes before or been, part of it at least in some way.
yeah,
So they see that, they can tell the difference, when someone's out there for their best interest and when someone's out there just for, looking to, like I said, put another notch on the belt or another paycheck. So
yeah.
that's awesome. That definitely goes a long way. Like I said, keeping up the bridges and getting everyone to, kind of follow suit on the referral side too helps out most definitely.
That was what I was gonna make a point to. That was he goes, "Hey, I'm gonna put you in a chat with my realtor in California." I said, "Okay." So he's selling his home in California, so it was a contingency, right? And I thought, well, he's putting me in contact with her, so I know what the process or what the progress is on that home. He goes, "No, I'm putting you in contact because whenever there's somebody moving here to San Antonio that she's helping, she could refer them to you."
Oh, that's huge.
Right,
And
that's awesome. And these are in the $1 million range. Like
yeah,
California is expensive, right? So these people are coming here to San Antonio looking to buy a million plus home. So I'm
yeah.
like, referral for $1 million home all day. Just bring it on. Like,
Yeah, and they're probably excited getting, 2, 3, 4 times the land probably in most cases and, backyards. They
yeah,
actually get a backyard now and
yeah. We saw one home and it was at 5 million, or it was at 2 million, and he goes, "Man, this house will go for 5 million in California.
yeah, no, he's not wrong.
Just buy it." Right?
We're in between. I'm in Arizona here, so I see both ends of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome. Well, and I know we kind of touched a little bit on the advice for the newer brokerage owners already.
yeah,
Have anything else you'd want to pick? I know you were talking about, kind of making sure we have all our boxes checked before, we make any, big decisions or anything there.
yeah.
Is there anything else you'd add on to that for, the newer brokerage owners?
I guess really just talk to other brokers, like just befriend them and be like, "Hey, like just what you're doing here, it's important to see that at a local level, right? Because things may be different wherever you're at. You're in Arizona, I'm in Texas. Like get with the broker you trust. Get it with the broker that knows what they're doing,
Yeah,
right? Because there's some brokers out there that don't. Uh, and ask questions. Like, don't be afraid. Like, don't shy away from, "Hey, you know what?" Because nobody knows nobody knows everything, right? But we all know a little bit of something, right?
yeah, oh
So
yeah,
the more you talk to people, and I'm never like, I don't compete, right? People are either gonna like me or they're gonna like you, right? And even if they like you and they start working with you, they might end up going, "You know what? I want to work with this guy because he's honest or he's whatever." So,
yeah,
so it's personality, right? It's finding, this is an important, finding your niche, right? Because I heard a saying, if you're for everybody, you're for nobody. So once I narrowed it down, then I just went 100% into it. So my niche is relocations, and they don't necessarily have to be military, but the majority are,
I
right?
got you.
Like, I'll help anybody move to San Antonio. I'm more about, hey, I love my city. I grew up here. Obviously I spent some time away from here when I was in the military, but I know all the nooks and crannies of San Antonio. I'm going to tell you the mom and pop restaurants to go to.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Hey, so I'm going to give you the insider, information. It doesn't matter if you're military, but it just seems like when you see my videos, you see how I interact, and you see, how I am, because I don't fake it.
oh
And
yeah,
it makes it so much easier when you niche down, you are yourself, and people just gravitate towards you. There's no better feeling. Like the clients this weekend, they're like, he was a Marine, law enforcement, now retiring from law enforcement, super down to earth. I talked to him like I was talking to my brother.
yeah,
Like, he's like, "Cool, like, yeah, let's do this," right? We were even clowning the one of the sales reps. Like, it was just organic, it was natural, it just felt right. And what better way to work with somebody and that's, like, just like you.
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
they're just like me. Now, I've had clients that were not like me, and I just had to be like, "Hey, you know what? We're not a good fit. Like, God bless you. Like, I can refer you to somebody else, but this isn't going to work, because either expectations or personality or whatever. But just being upfront and letting them know, right? Like, I appreciate that you reached out, but I don't think we're gonna work out, right?
Yeah, no, I understand. Sometimes it's best that way,
Yeah.
for
Oh
yourself,
yeah.
for
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
for all parties included.
I don't
So
want to drag somebody for 30, 45 days and they're like, I hate you. And I'm like, okay, like
do
let's
your thing.
find somebody you like, right? Like I think that's another, and this is not just for, becoming a broker, but understanding your business, understanding your value, your values, your unique selling propositions, and
Absolutely.
having clients that really appreciate it. I see a lot of agents that say, oh, I have this client, I showed them 40 homes and they want to look at 40 more. And in my back of my mind, I'm like, that's your fault because you didn't set the expectation, right? Like set the
Yeah.
expectation, literally have a consult because a lot of people, and me included, when I first started, I was just like, I'll help anybody, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's usually the best way we can build up that kind of our sphere. Get
Yeah,
people, find out what we work well with, who we don't work well with.
yeah.
Yeah, when we're just starting out, that might be the best way to make sure we're not excluding anybody or missing anybody.
So this is one thing I will say. Okay, brokerage, broker, even as an agent, have systems,
Oh yeah,
right? Everybody gets treated the same. I get a call, I get a text, I get an email. Hey, I saw your videos on YouTube. Let's talk. I'm like, okay, here's my Calendly link. Schedule a call, right? Like I'm not going to jump on a call right then and there because I'm
yeah,
probably doing something else. I've already time blocked my calls. Schedule a call. Hey, I can't make it. Now, if you can't make it to one of those calls, that's okay. I understand. Life happens. Now
yeah,
we can talk one on one and figure out something that's convenient for both of us, right? But it's a process. You have to have a system because if not, then people get lost. I've lost quite a bit of deals because I would forget people or I didn't, I had so many leads that I was trying to keep up and I would just forget people. And I was like, oh, shoot, I didn't call this person back or, oh, I didn't do a CMA for this person. And I had to figure it out. So build systems, right? Something that's going to work for you, something you're going to stay true to. Like, look, like I even have, so I don't know if you could see this, time blocking, right?
oh yeah.
Like,
They gotta live by the calendar. It makes life a lot easier.
yeah, I literally carry this calendar with me everywhere. And when somebody's like, hey, can we meet on so-and-so? I'm like, hold on. And I look because if not, I can't trust my phone. I can't put it in a digital calendar because I'm not going to look at it. This thing comes with me everywhere. It goes in my bag when I leave the office. It comes with me to the house. Like I religiously look at that. If it's on there, it's going to happen. If it's not on there, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah, yeah, that's some of the best advice I've gotten since being in the real estate industry. Is having that calendar and the calendar is law. Whatever comes up on the calendar, whatever is going on the calendar, that's what we're doing today.
Yeah. So to add to that, I always in November, beginning of December, I set my calendar for the entire year. Like every vacation, every birthday, all of that. I set it all. It's in stone. If a client says, "Hey, I'm going to be there in March," I'm like, "What days?" And they tell me this day to this day. I can either say, "Yep, I'm available," and then I put them in there, or I could say, "Not available." So I can refer you to one of my agents. They'll take care of you. They work for me. They do everything like I do. But yeah, I'll block them in. So I keep talking about this client because it just recently happened. We found the home. We had 4 days blocked off for him. We found the home by day 2. And he's like, "Hey, I don't want to waste your time." I'm like, "You're not wasting my time. These 4 days are yours.
Oh
What
yeah,
do you want to do?" So he's like, "Well, let's go look over here." And I was, "All right, cool." So we go look. And lo and behold, we ended up changing from one home to another home because
oh really?
we allotted that time. And again, he was like, he felt pressured, like I got to be under contract before I leave. And I was like, okay, but let's slow it down. Like, let's really think through, like, let's pros and cons, all that stuff. I could have been like, okay, boom, lock it down and gone on to the next one, right? That's
Yeah,
my style. That's not what I do.
yeah. Well, and like I said, I'm sure they appreciate that. I'm sure he thinks about that. Every once in a while when he's pulling up in the driveway and he's like, "Oh man, I'm glad I'm over here than maybe on the other side of town." So that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
really cool. And it gets lost sometimes. Can be hard in the fast paced world that we're in.
yeah.
Slow down and take your time with with the people that you're helping.
Yeah,
So
it's important. Yeah, it's important, right?
That's awesome. That's how Joe. And Jesse, let the people know where can they find you if they're thinking about relocating to Texas, if they're thinking about buying property, anything out there.
Yeah.
Where can they find you? Any social media, email, anything like that?
All right. So my social media, I am on Facebook and Instagram, but really, if you go look at my stuff, it's not, none of it is home stuff. It's just me. I'm a veteran. I'm a big, advocate of veterans. I'm part of like this organization. It's called Operation Paid Forward. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. So it's a nonprofit organization that I work with. I'm an ambassador. So I organize trips for veterans that are maybe having a little bit of struggle adjusting to civilian life. Maybe they got, some like PTSD or stuff like that. So it's just a safe place to get together with them. So you'll see a lot of that on there. I don't really need to sell real estate because I already have VA, VA compensation. I have, my retirement compensation. So I do this because I love helping people, right? Now, Facebook, that's what you're going to see, my life, right? YouTube, and there's a lot of YouTubers in San Antonio that do the same thing, right? My channel is called Living in San Antonio. So if you want to find me, you could go Living in San Antonio and then just put my name, Jesse Lopez, and I'll pop up, right? So that's where you can find me. That's where I'm actually like consumer. Like, hey, if you're moving to San Antonio, and even if you don't use me or you just have questions, like I'm here. Like I'm here to help, right? For whatever reason. So I get a lot of business that way, right? That's where you'll find me. Mainly YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I have a TikTok account. I don't do TikTok. I just do, I really love veterans. And it sounds corny. I am one. I just put a post this morning on Facebook about people saying I love you, right? I don't take that lightly. I grew up in a house that was never said. But at a certain age, I was like, wait a minute, like I love my parents. And fortunately, the light bulb turned on before my dad died. And I would always talk to him and, hey, Dad, I love you. And that was great because I got to share that with them and our relationship just, blossomed even more. So I do love veterans. Like I would do anything for a veteran. If you need something and just, I'm a phone call away. My phone number is all over everything, social media, YouTube, like you can find me. If you can't find me, it's just because you're not paying attention.
I
Right?
got
Email, all that stuff, it's all out there. But yeah, it's pretty much what I specialize: relocations, helping people find their next home in the best neighborhoods, with the best schools, with the lowest crime, yada, 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 right? Like I'm just here and I do listen. I listen and I just guide you. That's it. Like I love San Antonio. I want people to love it when they move here. So full disclosure, I tell you everything. Right.
I like that. I like that. I know everyone will appreciate the honesty. Anyone that goes in and checks you out, we'll have everything linked down below. So if you guys want to get in contact with Jesse, you're looking to, move to Texas, maybe have some questions about the market, maybe thinking about it in the future. Jesse's your guy. He's going to obviously take care of you and be very honest with us as well. So I love that in the industry. It's a great thing to have.
Yeah, for sure.